Welcome to another fabulous episode of Tickle.life's podcast. And I'm super excited about our guest today. So, in case everybody doesn't know who I am, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Gaia Moririssette. And I love hosting Tickle.life's podcast. And the reason we created this podcast was to help the world normalize sex, make sex safer, make sex fun and playful, and to let go of the shame that we all may be carrying a little bit about sex. Now, I tend to laugh a lot, and my guests tend to laugh a lot. And a lot of those is because we are pretty comfortable with the topic that we're talking about. Now, just because we're comfortable with the topic doesn't necessarily mean you're comfortable with the topic listening, and our laughter may feel a little uncomfortable for you. But just know if we're laughing, it means that we feel safe and we feel comfortable, and we lovingly invite you to lean in with us. And at the end of the show, if you feel like, wow, that was awesome and I learned so many great, amazing things, but it still was very uncomfortable, then you can reach out to me or my guest and we can talk about how you can feel comfortable and giggle and laugh like we're most likely going to do. All right. So, awesome guests. I always have my guests introduce themselves and pronounce their name properly, mostly because I'm dyslexic and I'm horrible with names. So, what's your name?
My name is Linnea. I go, by Linnea Marie.
Beautiful. And Leanne, say it again.
Linnea.
Linnea, what's your superpower?
My superpower would be enlightening and empowering people.
That's beautiful. And if you had a superhero costume for your superpower, what would your costume look like?
A lot of bright colors, a lot of glitter. Anything, vibrant, vivid, neon. You're going to see me coming from a mile away, basically. So I'm not going to be one of those incognito superheroes. You're going to see me coming.
Nice. Well, today my superpower is making a safe space for people, so people feel safe. And that costume, I would say, would be blue. Nice, calming blue, almost like water. Nice water. So, all right. I can't wait to hear about your story. We're going to talk about first sex toy party and first purchase of a sex toy and your first orgasm, are we not?
Yes, I'm excited for it.
Okay, so take us back. Take us back in time.
Oh, let's go back at least, this is 2021, so let's go back to 2008.
Okay.
I was in college, and I had grown up in a very, strict Catholic household. We didn't talk about sex. My parents were the ones that covered our eyes during a kissing scene. We weren't even allowed to, see that. And so I was, in college, and that's where we kind of like experiment and get, you blossom and you're on your own. So, you're not having the parents, hover over you. You can make your own decisions. You can make mistakes, all of that. So were you
feeling excited? Were you feeling freedom? Like, what were you?
Yes, all of the above. Yes. It was, I was excited. It was freedom. I met so many people from all over the world. It was just 100% like a growing experience that I needed, for my life, really. And I was in the dorms, and one of the girls that lived in the dorms with me, she was like, oh, my friend's having this, I think at that point it was a pure romance party.
Okay, so hold on. Teachable moment. So, there's all these different like Fantasia and Pure Romance, and there's all these different brands of parties. It's like Tupperware. It's like a Tupperware party, but for sex toys.
Okay. So but it was off campus because of course nothing like that could be on campus. So we went to an apartment, I didn't know what to expect.
So okay, so your girlfriend tells you, and how does she tell you? I want to hear, like, are you giggling? Are you like, how does she explain it?
There was a group of us, so we were all giggling. No one really knew what to expect because a lot of the girls that I went with and my friends, we never been to one before. I never been to one either, so we were all kind of new. Like, what do we expect? We didn't even know at that point what even toys looked like. I wasn't versed in any of that.
So was the girl who invited you, had she been to one before, or was she also hadn't been to one?
She hadn't been to one, but she had met the rep and then booked one, and to see, how it would go. So she's never been. So like all of us were new. I think in the whole like apartment party, there maybe have been 2 that raised their hand that have even been to one.
Okay.
So a lot of us in there were newbies. So it was like really fun.
Were you scared?
I don't think scared was the word. I think curious. I had been having sexual intercourse and, doing sexual activities prior to this, but never was introduced to the toy aspect of, sex or pleasure products, anything like that. So I wanted to see how this could potentially enhance it. I was always, very open-minded when it came to sex. And regardless of my, like I said, upbringing, very strict or whatever, but I was always there's so much more to life. And if there's something confining you, I just always had the open mind where I wanted to try it for myself.
Okay. All right. So you went in there with with your curiosity. Yes. But not any fear. Was there any nervousness at all?
I would say nervous. Yes, okay. Nervous. We can call it nervousness. Because like I said, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, anything. And I remember walking in and sitting on the couch, and there's this table full of all these gadgets and gizmos and creams and lotions. And I'm just like, wow. How do you, cipher through all that? How do you work through all that? So luckily the host of the party was, she was a little older, but she was fun and engaging, and she went with our questions. And I remember passing all the items around and getting the feels for them and seeing what they're made of and, how strong they are. And I know I didn't go first when I bought when I decided to go for it and buy my first toy.
Okay, wait. Before we get into that. So, we're having an echo situation happen here. Let me pause. Do you have... All right, so the question is, before you go and buy your toy, we want to know, like, you're being handed these things. What are you being handed? Like, what is happening? Like, what does this toy look like?
They were a lot of pink and purple. I remember a butterfly. I remember, some vibrating dildos or penis-shaped toys, small bullet vibrators. Like I said, the main color that it keeps coming in are definitely the pink and purple.
Yeah.
I think there was even a dolphin, a small dolphin. I remember that one.
And what's happening with the other women, like the other girls?
We're all giggling and looking at them and oh, look at this, or how do you think this one? Would you like this one? We're just having that chit chat back and forth. Or have you ever used one? You know what I mean? Have you ever even seen this? So but definitely.
And were people forthcoming? Were they like opening up, and were they sharing things? Were they kept really close? Like, what was happening?
A few of the girls were more open than the other. I think, because of all backgrounds, some are going to be more, open, they're experienced than others. And then I do remember like a few of our, our friends just not saying anything. I think they were too shocked to even or to just overwhelmed, really.
Yeah.
So I do, there is an array of some people were just really reserved, and I would say I was in the middle. I was
Yeah.
open,
Yep.
and I wanted to see more, you know what I mean? I wanted to see what was going on, and I was intrigued. And then there was a couple of my friends who were just like over the top, like would walk around with the toy, you know what I mean? So there was definitely an array of the girls. And of course, in college, we were drinking and just having a good time. So it
All
was
right.
definitely an experience I'll never forget.
Okay, so somebody else decides to go and buy a toy, and is it typically, it's in a separate room, so no one
Yes.
knows what anybody's buying, and it's kept pretty confidential unless people want to
Unless you
share.
walk out and want to share. So that's what kind of got intrigued me to get something. Like I said, I didn't go first, but a couple of my other girlfriends went, and they would come out and show me their bags. I mean, some of them just got like a warming massage, a heart, I think that they have, or some lube or something small, maybe a small bullet vibrator. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should just, do it. Maybe, and because at this point, like I said, I have been sexually active, but I've also never had an orgasm either.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even know what it was. It wasn't even a conversation. So I definitely was intrigued and, wanted to, experience that for sure. So I picked my first vibrator.
Okay, what'd you buy? What'd you get? We
It
all want to know.
it was like a clearish and pink vibrating dildo that looked like a penis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it have any clitoral attachments, or was it just straight penis
It wa
shape?
Yep, it was just straight penis shaped, and I definitely think it was for insertion purposes. However, I didn't use it as that.
Okay.
So I used it for clitoral stimulation, and that was it. But when I purchased a toy, and it sat there for a few days. I didn't use it right away.
Okay, so how did you feel purchasing it? So let's talk about, were you embarrassed? Were you giddy? Were you excited?
I was
Like
definitely I was
what were the
curious and
emotions?
excited. The host made it really personable and not, she didn't make things intimidating. She was like, whatever you want, showing me options. There was like more no pressure.
Mhm.
So she made me feel really comfortable buying it. And I like the empowerment aspect that she gave to it as well. So I think that's, that helped, put the cherry on top that made me go and purchase it. So I was definitely excited.
So when you came out, did you show what you bought?
Yeah, I did show a few of my close girlfriends, and they were all excited. Oh, you gotta have to tell me how it is and let me know. And if it's good, maybe I'll get it. And so we were all excited and ready to go home and try our new stuff.
Okay, so you get it home
Yeah.
and you say it sits for a couple days. What happens?
It sits for a couple of days. I was really busy in college. I really didn't think about it. And then there was one of the days that I just had some downtime, and I pulled it out, put batteries in it, and I tried it, and nothing happened. And so,
How
I
did it
wasn't.
feel? So let's talk about, like, when you said nothing happened, like it didn't work, or like you didn't feel any sensation,
It,
or like what do you mean when nothing happened?
I did an orgasm. I felt the sensation. It felt really good, but I never orgasm. I didn't orgasm. Like I said, it was so pleasurable,
Yeah.
but I never orgasm. So I'm like, okay, So then I started switching positions.
Okay.
Maybe it was like a positional thing. Um, and I worked at it for a few times. I tried not to get, frustrated or just oh, what's not for me. I basically had to teach myself, how to orgasm, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, so I worked at it. I don't know how many times I tried. I would say maybe 3 or 4,
Okay.
and I finally had one.
And what happened different that this was the time that you had one? What was going on?
It was a pleasure, or it was a sensation and a pleasure that I've never, ever, ever, ever felt before. Um, it was it was mind-blowing. It was literally orgasmic, as we can,
Yep.
see, but it was literally mind-blowing, and I just remember sitting there thinking like, wow, no one like ever told me about this. No one's ever given me this, and I've, like I said, been sexual. No one's even, I mean, nothing. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I have to tell people about this.
So what were you doing differently though this time?
I think it was position.
Okay, so
Um,
you had changed up your position. Yep.
yeah. And it was positional, and I think pressure. So I am a power person, so I like more intense vibration or stimulation.
Hmm.
And I think I needed to turn up the vibrator. I mean, using, a vibrator for the first time, you don't know how,
Yeah.
high you should, put it. Um, but I think I needed just to increase the speed of it, and it worked.
And once, so you have your first mind blowing orgasm, toe curling experience, right?
Yes.
And then you start telling people. Do you start telling people? Do you call your girlfriends? What happens?
Yeah, I called my girlfriends immediately. I'm like, girl, you know, have you, I've even asked, like, and this just opened up a lot of the conversations of, well, do you have an orgasm? Do you use toys? And this just opened up a broader conversation with my friends, basically. And
Nice. So what
and
happened with boys? How did this affect boys? Or
I mean,
sorry, first of all, I should not assume that it was with boys. That's my bad. You never said who you were having sex with. You just said you were sexually active. So how did this affect your sexuality with partners? There we go.
okay, it made me look at them entirely different. I will be completely honest, because like I mentioned before, I was having intercourse. I was engaging in oral sex. I was engaging with these men, making sure they were orgasming and they were coming. And I mean, it felt good for me, but I never came. And none of them took the time to even make me come or make me feel pleasure. None of that. They were like very selfish. And I guess thinking back on it, high school, early college, we're pretty young, what, 21, 22. um and the lack of education around, so a lot of people don't know, men don't know, I get it, but it just made me look at them totally different, like, wow, I've been giving myself to you and sharing these moments with you, and I'm not receiving any of this pleasure from it.
So did that make start having conversations with people? Did you change how you were like now? It's like now coming to the table, it's like this is the new standard. Like
Yeah,
how did that change in your interaction piece?
honestly, it changed it immensely, because at this time, the ironic thing is, at this time I was taking a human sexuality course in college.
Nice.
So it kind of all came full circle with me learning about the clit and learning that word, because like I said, no one's ever told me that. My anatomy lesson or my sex education lesson from my mom was an anatomy book.
Hmm.
It was nothing about, I didn't know what the clit looked like or pleasure or anything like that. So I was learning all of that information, plus experienced my own orgasm. So I was putting it all full circle, right? And I've had a lot of men say like, "Oh, you don't need toys," or you know what I mean. They were kind of shamey when I was like, "Oh yeah, you want to use this?" And I think it's because they just didn't know about them, I guess, or I get their ego. But it definitely set a precedence for my sex moving forward.
Nice. So what's the one thing that you know now that you wish the younger version of you knew?
That my pleasure is important.
That's beautiful.
Honestly, that my pleasure is just as important. I'm such a people pleaser, and I
Mm.
wanted to please them so bad, and I wanted to make them happy, sexually, to the point where I was just forgetting myself, it wasn't about me. It wasn't about anything. And then I had I'm like, I want this. It's not, it doesn't cost $1 million. If you get it right, it could take a couple, minutes to happen. So it's possible, it's obtainable. And my pleasure taking it more seriously.
Beautiful. So, what do you do in the world when you're not out buying your very first sex toy?
All right. What was I doing back then?
No, now. So now
now.
this is where you get to tell us all about what you do for a living and how people can spend more time with you.
Yeah, okay, so I teach a variety of online and due to COVID, they stopped it in person. I think we'll probably start that back up. But I teach a number of workshops, and I do consultations, so one-on-one. I recently got my certificate from the American College of Sexologists, which so now I'm a certified sex educator, and I'm super excited about that.
Excellent.
I love my one-on-one consultations because we can get intimate and really get down to what's going on. Sometimes in my public workshops, not everyone can be open as as they want. And I also sell pleasure products, so it goes hand in hand. It's like a full circle thing. So
beautiful. And how can people how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I have a website, exciteme.com, and you can find all links and email me from there. And I have social media, of course, Instagram Excite Me, and Twitter's Excite Me as well. So I'm on all social media platforms, and if any, I'm available and love helping people.
Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
That beautiful experience that, so many people have had or curious about having. And if you haven't, I highly recommend going and finding your very first sex toy.
Yeah.
And there's many ways you can do that: online, in person, stores, parties. There's so many beautiful ways in which there's some beautiful safe spaces to go and explore and find the perfect toy for you.
Yes.
So, audience, thanks for hanging out with us. And don't forget to check out all the other episodes of Tickle.life podcast. If you want to spend more time with me, Gaia Moririssette, you can find me at GaiaMoririssette.com. Don't forget to check out my podcast called My Orgasmic Life, where you will get to hear all of my juicy, sometimes incredibly, maybe too much graphic information about my orgasmic life. And we are always looking for guests. So if you have a first of experience that you would like to share with the world and help the world be inspired, then reach out to us and we can figure out how to get you on the show. Have a juicy day, and don't forget to go check out tickle.life. Bye-bye.